Hi, welcome to Bakersfield College. And as you can see, I'm actually not at the college. I'm in Long Beach in a campground. A bit of a break during our winter break. So I thought I'd take a little bit of time and do a short video on setting up a Word document for doing an academic report. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I opened a Microsoft Word document, and I don't use any templates, and there's lots of templates available on the internet for doing any kind of document, but the problem is the people that make those templates, they like to do, or typically they like to do some kind of clever things, and sometimes you can't really tell how they've done whatever they've done for setting up the template. If you want to make some changes, sometimes it can be difficult. But if you start with just the empty Microsoft document and use some of the built-in tools, it's actually really easy to make a very nice looking report. So let's get started. I've got my cheat sheet here. The first thing I'm going to do is I've opened a blank document, and the first thing I'm going to do is save it. File, save as. Making a good name for a document is very important. What I like to do is I start with my last name, so Murray, and then a real short description of what this document is. So I'm going to call it sample report. And then what I like to do is I like to put in the date that I'm working on it. So today's January 9th, 2020. Okay. The reason I type in the date when I tell them this, they say, well, why are you doing that? Because Microsoft automatically puts dates in. The problem is, if you move that file from one computer to another computer, the operating system automatically updates the date. So if I work on the document, say I did the document last September, and this month I move it to a different location, it's going to put today's date on it. And then in 2 months, when I go looking for that document, I'm going to maybe have a hard time finding the right version because the operating system changed the date on me. I just like to put the current date on it, and then every day when I work on a document, I update the date. I keep the old one and I update the new one. So I've got my document, it's open and it's saved. And the first thing I'm going to do is make an outline. I've got title of my paper. I'm going to put in a biography. Table of contents. Okay, there's the outline of my whole report. Now notice at the top, I'm in the Home tab, and I've got these styles. Everything's in normal right now. And to make your different headings and your title, to make them all stand out, what most people do is they start updating the fonts over here. Problem is, it's a very manual process if you do it that way. So I don't want to do that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything except for the title. And I'm going to go over to styles, and I'm going to make all of those heading 1. And then these 3 options, I'm going to make those heading 2. And I also want to have numbers in my document. So I am going to update these a little bit. So I'm going to select everything. Actually, I'm going to start numbering with the introduction because I don't want to number the bibliography and the table of contents. See how that works. Now over here under paragraph, I'm going to select multi-level list, and I like using this 1 and 1.1 and 1.1.1 for my reports. So it started numbering, but notice here it kind of messed up. This should be 3.1, 3.2. So I'm going to highlight these guys. To fix these guys so that they're 3.1 instead of 4, First I'm going to highlight them, and then I'm going to click this little triangle beside my multi-level number. Sorry, wrong one. And here I'm going to change the list level, and I'll change it to 1.1. So that's fixed. Now I want to update my styles so that I can save my changes. So first I'll click anywhere on one of these heading ones, and I'm going to right click on that and update heading 1 to match selection. And then here in this heading 2, I'm going to click down there and I'm going to update this guy. Now what happens if I go to this area and I put in a heading 2, it automatically gives me a 6.1. If I put in another section, say here I'll put in a heading 1 with something, so it's automatically updated all these numbers. Okay, that part's real cool. Now let me just go and I'm going to make my title bold and I'll make it real big, and maybe I'll even center it. Now that I did manually, and you're going to see in a few minutes why that doesn't work very well, but I'll come back to that. Okay, let's put in a table of contents. So I've got my marker for table of contents, and actually I didn't want numbers on these guys, so oops, undo. I'm just going to select these two and turn off the numbers. Okay, my table of contents, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go over to the review tab, and actually I'm going to go to the reference tab, and over here on the left for table of contents I'm just going to select the very first one. Let's see what that did. Let me zoom out a little bit. So that automatically put in the table of contents and put in all the page numbers. Let's go in and insert some page numbers. So go to insert and page number, and I usually like them on the bottom. Okay, so I've got my page numbers. I've got 2 pages. Now what I want to do is each one of these sections I want to start on a new page. So I'm going to go and put in some page breaks. So I'm still on the insert tab, I think. Where's insert? There. So I've clicked right in front of references. I go to the insert tab, pages, and insert a page break. I've got a page break before each section, and if I zoom way out, you can see that each one is on a separate page. Somewhere down there are the page numbers. Can't really see them. So this guy is still showing everything on page 1. So what I have to do is just click on it, and up at the top it says update table, and it gives you 2 options. I always select update the entire table, because if you add in a new section and you don't update the entire table, it won't give you a proper update. So hit OK. Now you can see that it's got everything on the correct. So I've got my outline for my report. I've got each section starting on a new page, and I've got some subsections. So let me just start down here in options. I click on the end of options, and that's heading 1. I hit enter, and the style automatically goes back to normal. So now I can talk about the options. These are the options for the project. And maybe under option 1, the first option is to do nothing. It's always an option. I don't really like this because this tab is not really lining up. So I'm going to click on one of these two, doesn't matter which one, somewhere in my normal setting. I'm going to click on it. Then I'll go to my ruler and I'm going to drag this guy over there. If your ruler's not showing, then go to View and click on Ruler. But if you started with a blank document, your ruler should be showing. Okay, so I moved that tab over just by dragging this. Now I'm going to go right click on Normal and update Normal to match it. Okay, so it's updated both of those. Everything's very nice. But I've created a little problem for myself. If I go all the way up to the top, the title is changed because everything I did in Normal gets updated when I do update Normal to match selection. So it updates everything, including this title. So what I need to do is highlight that guy, and I'm going to use this down arrow here, and there's title. So now I've got my title of my page, the title style, and now if I do any updates on any of the normal, let me highlight this and let's change it to 12. So I made it a little bigger, and I'll go find normal and update normal to match selection. So that updated both of those guys. And if I go back to my title hasn't changed. Put TLC as a header in, but when I put in my automatic table of contents, it gave me a title. So I'm just going to go back again. Here it's showing TLC, and I don't have that anymore, so I need to click on this, update my table, and that got rid of it. So everything is set with my table of contents. After I write the report, I'm going to go and make sure I update that one last time. That's the beginning of my report. I hope you found this helpful, and remember to keep everything very simple. And I think what I'll do is I'll post a link to this actual report that I made so that you can use that to review the procedure if you like. Okay, so thanks and see you in school.